the children in additional time. I mean, everything we're doing is targeted toward increasing student achievement.
Any other questions, Rob?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Donna.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about the superintendent's information?
Oh, we need to vote on Donna's,
Oh,
probably.
sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Chair will entertain a motion to
Thank you, Terry.
approve the 2011-2012 Pembroke School Improvement Plan as presented by Dr. Donna Tanner.
So moved.
Any motion? Do we have a second?
Second?
And a second. Any more discussion? There being none of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye, that motion carries. Now, is there any questions about the superintendent's information? I don't understand Naomi's letter, but I'll get information from you later.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the financial report. Terry?
In your packet, you have line item transfers. Again, it's end of year, so you're seeing a lot of accounts being balanced off. Close them out. And if there are any questions, I certainly can answer them. There'll probably be one more set of transfers at your July meeting, which will be, because the budget remains open until about 2 weeks into July, so that closes out all of the remaining needs and whatever.
How's that recast budget going?
Very well.
Very well.
Excellent. I'm not on budget anymore, but I like to know.
Well, we do need to meet with the budget and finance before
Right.
we bring it to the full committee, but Terry and I actually are meeting tomorrow in the morning.
Yes, we think we've got the
And,
final version to present for school committee.
One
to
of the
recap,
things
but we
I
need to go through
I
it.
do want to do in July for the committee is to actually pull out or highlight for you and for the community exactly where the money in the
That'd be
override
great.
is. Because what we want to do is be able to track that carefully.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to approve transfers 523 through 608 as presented.
So moved. Second?
Motion second, any discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I don't have an original to sign, so Ian can sign it.
Oh,
I don't have an original.
you have the original, Laura?
It's in Ian's packet.
Oh, it's in Anne's packet. Okay.
Okay.
So
You
how do
sign-
we
Why
want?
don't you sign the copy?
We can
It
sign.
has my initials on it, doesn't matter.
Oh, well, here, I have one
Oh,
that
yeah,
doesn't have your
you have
initials
one.
on it, so.
I initial everything, that means I read it.
Okay. That's a good strategy.
Moving on to the Pembroke project design selection update, I would just tell you that we do have responses in, and I meant to count them before I came here tonight.
There were 11.
There are 11, okay, that was what I was going to say. I will tell you that at least 7 of them I recognize as being among the top firms in school construction, as far as architects go, in New England. So I think it's a really impressive group that have responded. That's a good thing, of course, in that you have a number of quality firms to select from. It may make the selection process at the MSBA level
A little more
a
difficult.
little more difficult, but I think that's a good thing. I think you'd rather
Here, I got
have,
this in the office.
I think one of,
yeah.
You want a list? Do you want a copy of it? We can certainly.
We can- yeah, we can
just
send out a
send you
copy.
an email out with the
Yeah.
list of the, yeah.
one of the challenges that I think, Carol, that you'll run into when you go to with the state, is the list that he's talking about of these 7 firms, trying to find the right match.
Right.
Right,
Because some
Right.
of them are pretty heavy hitters.
right.
Sure they are. And just an example, like just Dorian Whittier, you know, they've had a nice association with us. I know they have a number of projects, you know, on the docket. So I imagine that there will be a discussion at MSBA as to whether, even though I'm sure that they have a great interest in doing our project, but the MSBA folks will certainly work with us to
Right.
determine, you know, do they have the capacity to be able to do it, you know? So, yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of that discussion, I think, in terms of what projects are already on the table for some of these firms, because we want, obviously, to get the best value that we can, and we don't wanna be competing with other
And I-
places for
I'm
talent.
almost-
Their money all
And
over
I'm
the place.
almost meaning the other end of the spectrum, where they're heavy. They're going to be extremely qualified.
Mhm.
They're going to blow you away,
Mhm.
and they may not be the right match.
Yeah.
That's the other
Right,
end of that.
well, we'll definitely have to be cautious
The
about that.
process, the MSBA process is a very intense process, because all the designers are sitting there, but nobody can present. So the MSBA, and I don't know if you've ever been through it, one of your projects, Rob, or whatever, but the MSBA, the members will sit there and they will pick apart these proposals. But you're right, there's some heavy hitters there. I mean, one of the people who responded, his firm, he actually, I can remember him, actually when he had hair on his head, and he designed the addition to Chesterfield School back on it was my first meeting as a school district moderator that I presided over. So that was, shall we say, a couple of decades ago or more. So there's some good people there. I think that's the important thing.
It's good that we've
Yeah,
got good firms. We've
Yeah.
got a lot of people.
Our OPM
That's
was
good.
very, very
Very pleased.
happy, A, with the interest, and B, with the quality of the firms that, they've had a lot of association with a number of them. so.
Yes.
Great. Student activities.
Student Activities Procedure Manual, that is in your packet. And that's really an outgrowth of really a couple of different things. A student activity audit that occurred a couple of years ago. Training we had this summer with all the administrators, conducted by Mark Abrahams. And just really trying to, as we've had things happen, to try and incorporate them into a procedures manual. And so what we hope we have here is something that we can now give to certainly all the building principals, but maybe more importantly, all of the advisors, so that they have something, so that they understand what their responsibilities are and how to do certain things. For example, a relatively new thing, which was a relatively recent addition to that manual that we've been working on over the year, was we now sell DVDs as fundraisers for things like Dancing with the Stars, and I know Pembroke has sold some DVDs of the kids' plays or the band recitals. So we just need to make sure everybody understands what the process is. And sometimes they're really kind of very basic things, but for example, just when you sell something, the first instinct is, for example, okay, if this is a fundraiser for the drama club at the high school, when I make my check out drama club to the high school, well, no, you don't. Any check that's made out for any kind of fundraiser is made out town of Georgetown. No exceptions. We deposit it in the right account,
Town of Georgetown.
town of Georgetown, because that's the only way the check can be deposited into the
I
accounts.
made my check out to you for the 5th grade celebration.
The 5th grade celebration was not a
They're
district
not a
event.
district, remember?
Oh,
They're
yeah,
a separate.
yeah,
They're a separate
Okay.
entity.
But if
But
we
what
were,
about like the
Took their
Pembroke,
money.
yeah, the PTA, what about like the Pembroke Student Activity Fund? That's
Right.
what we used to,
But that's what I
It
write.
wasn't
but
Town
that's
of
what I write my
Georgetown.
check to.
Should have been written out town of Georgetown.
Nope. Pembroke Student
Because
Activity
that's-
Account.
right.
That's been for years.
It's
Well-
being done wrong.
So they're depositing
cash.
it. Okay.
We need to find out where that money's going.
They'll always cash it.
but this is the point, right?
Yeah.
That when we had the student activity audit done, there were some things that were flagged that we
Right.
needed to be doing in a different way.
Okay.
So
That's good then.
this is the outgrowth of that, because now what's going to happen is that this little manual is going to be what people go to say, okay, what is the procedure for that? So we eliminate some of we've just been kind of doing it the way we've doing it, and it's worked so far, because obviously there were recommendations in this way. So this is an accountability thing for us, and it's an opportunity to provide clear guidelines for everybody that's
Well,
doing it.
Everyone needs to be clear on that, because Ann makes a very good point.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Yep.
I know
Yep.
we did a basketball fundraiser this year. And my father sent a check, and it was made out to Georgetown basketball or something.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
of course they cashed it, but the point is,
The point is, yeah.
No
Yeah,
cash is allowed.
Well, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they
Some
did.
places you're not allowed, and I send cash in all the time.
Yeah, we really try to discourage cash. There is a mechanism for accepting cash. So, for example, Gates, typically speaking,
Oh, well,
still
that's different.
are cash. But there's mechanisms and forms for tracking those sorts of things.
Oh,
So, and that's what we've tried to do, is we've tried to codify some of this. There will be some forms that still need to be developed to add to that manual, as well as the Business Office Operations Manual. But again, I think the effort is to make sure everybody's on the same, working from the same set of rules, so to speak, and
well,
understands
it's
what they
easier
are.
that way to
Yeah,
just.
it's just
Right,
a lot-
much
it's a lot-
easier, much
it's a
easier.
lot.
And that was one of the things, like in the strategic plan that we talked about in the budget and finance section, is being clear on the procedures.
Yeah.
So that if Terry's not here, someone else isn't here, we're not reinventing the wheels
Excellent
every
segue
time.
into this.
Yes,
Right,
excellent
and
segue.
one of the things about, and the Business Office Operations Manual still has a lot of documents, particularly forms and even some narrative that needs to be added to it. But one of the problems, and it's actually interesting, because as I was writing the Student Activities Procedures Manual, I realized what's the biggest problem with any kind of procedures manual. It's this wad of paper, and it's in a notebook, and it goes on a shelf, and nobody reads it. And a business procedures manual is, despite how scintillating I can make accounting sound, is even worse. So now David, this is the whole reason I was trying to blind you earlier.
You did, thank you.
I apologize. I was trying to blank out the screen. What I've done with this procedure, and what I would say, and certainly can be easily done with the student activities as well, is not make it paper at all, but make it electronic. And so, for example, you'll see there's a table of contents here, and so if I want to know something about the general fund accounts, then I can click to go to the general fund accounts. And you'll notice that down here, for example, and there may be others, it refers to an account structure that's in Appendix A. And I can go to Appendix A. And then,
21st century.
It's fabulous.
and then
Not boring at all.
if here it's going to refer to a purchase order form, so I can see what the purchase order looks like. Now, if this all works the way I set it up, I'm now done there. I want to go back and look for something else. I come back. So that's the use of hyperlinks and bookmarks. Not rocket science, but
It's easy.
I think it makes it less ominous to use.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, now if you want to look up the purchasing procedure, if you've got that as on your computer, or if it's, you know, on a shared drive, it's just not that hard. And of course, you still can call the business office and ask questions. You know, I've got, you know, one of the best staffs ever, frankly.
Yeah.
So, not a problem. But I thought I would just take the opportunity to show you that briefly as to how that would work. Again, a lot more forms to be added, still a lot more things. It's a work in progress, but definitely it's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you. All right.
I think next
Copier
up,
lease.
we have a copier lease proposal.
Do we have to approve that?
You do
Yes.
because it is a lease. What we are proposing is a copier lease for and actually I gotta find it now. This would be for the central office copier. The central office copier, and I suspect this would maybe be one of the few times that I could get Laura to say something in a meeting. I'm not gonna make her though.
You got it?
I do
Find
have it. It has broken down 3 times this year for at least 48 hours or more. I don't think there's a day that goes by where there is not some kind of jam.
The big one outside of your
The
office?
big one outside of my office.
What kind is it?
The current one is a Xerox. What we are
that's a
probably
problem.
proposing to purchase is a Ricoh because of the special deal involved. Okay?
How old is that?
This copier was purchased in 2006, and as I understand it at the time,
Oh,
it was
that's the famous
that's
one.
the famous copier.
Remember
This is
that
the
one?
famous
Yeah.
copier.
Okay, that's
And it
why,
was a
that's why I
Xerox,
asked the
that was
question.
bad.
I thought that might have been the
And
one.
I suspect it has been there since
Cadillac.
2006
It was a
because it is
Cadillac,
the
yeah.
famous copier. What
I'll
we're
tell you the story
proposing,
later.
and this, by the way, can all be done within the existing budget,
Oh, good.
okay? What we're proposing is we are able to get a 50-page per minute black and white copier that will do the scanning, will do the faxing, because that's all what we use the copier for now. Simply as a matter of course, because this is the new technology, it will also allow somebody, a user, to come up with a flash drive and print directly from a flash drive. Again, standard is not extra. That's what the copiers do nowadays. It also now has the new security protocols.
Good.
Okay, so not only does it periodically basically degauss, like for example, the information from a flash drive that would have been entered into it temporarily, but if you're to move it to a new location, there's a way that you can literally wipe out all of the information that has been sent to that, all of the passcodes and everything, without removing the programming for the copier itself. And again, that's part of the copier standard.
So that copier was purchased, right? It wasn't a lease.
That copier was purchased.
Yeah.
We're proposing a 3-year fair market value lease. And the reason